This is the beginning of our students' presentations. And our presentations are going to be focused on analyzing different cultural dimensions from Hofstede's theory. And also their objective for the students is to present as much as they can, of course, real life situations and try to relate the cultural dimensions we talked about in class and bring them to real cases scenarios. And in this case, real cases scenarios that are relevant to them. So that's why these presentations are very particular, because each one of the students is going to bring something from himself into the presentation. So we're really looking forward to it. And now I'm going to shut up, and then the microphone is all yours, my dear Dante. Thank you.
Thank you, teacher. Well, I choose the situation of being the new coach of FC Barcelona because right now I'm a coach at the UNLA, and I think it's a good match to do with all the theories, all the information we had during the classes, and how can I match it, and that's why I choose this topic. First of all, I'm going to talk about Football Club Barcelona. It's a team from Spain that plays La Liga. That's called the competition they play in Spain. Barcelona is one of the most important soccer clubs around the world. And most of his players are from Spain, but there are other players from other countries, like they have Poland people, they have from Brazil, they have like many people from different countries. And that's why this is going to be like really interesting to see. It plays in the most important competition of soccer in Europe. It's called UEFA Champions League, and it's known as a club that has the best collective gameplay. This is very important to know because we're going to talk about it in a few minutes. Also, this is really important because in the last year, it started to have troubles to qualify to important competitions like Champions League. They start to have really several problems, and they are not in the UEFA Champions League right now. That's why I'm going to assume this role as a coach and see how it can work better to be again in this competition. Well, something about the difficulties is having a Mexican coach because, as I said, they mostly have people from Spain, and here it comes with one of the dimensions that is uncertainty avoidance. This is how different cultures of society react and tolerate uncertainties. In this case, like having a Mexican coach, it's something that never happened before. They always had like European coaches, and this is going to be a different scenario for them. Also about the gameplay is the individualism versus collectivism. This is how they may adapt to the situation of being in a club like Football Club Barcelona. As I said before, we have, or in Barcelona, they have this like methodology of being a really collective team in their gameplays. So this is going to be, this is something hard for many people that arrive to Barcelona because in the history, it happens that many players came to the Barcelona, like being the top players, and when they come to Barcelona, they don't they don't destacan, they don't go through about this methodology, and they can't adapt to the gameplays. This what they happened, for example, with Maradona. Maradona couldn't adapt to this gameplay, and he was in Barcelona, and he couldn't adapt. Also, the communication, because as I said, like for example, we have people from Poland, we have people um, from Germany, for example. So this is very hard. This how does the coach interact with the players, and how does the players interact each other? This is another trouble because it may sometimes, for example, when I was a player, I had like some teammates that were from Brazil, from Argentina and other countries, and they usually make like groups groups. This is a situation that is happening right now in Barcelona, and it's seen because, for example, the ones that speak Spanish are the ones like are a group, and then we have the foreigners, and this is something that we have to work with. So about solutions, it's really important to have flexibility. This can happen understanding the situation of each player, depending from each country that they are, having empathy with them, because we have to know, we have to make a research. For example, me as a coach, I have to do it about the situation of their countries, about how they interact with their families, because most of them are married, and this is something that affects directly in their performance. Also, to have a good guidance, guide them with the most effective communication to transmit their roles inside the team and give clear orders to make them more effective and easy to understand for the players. This is something very important too, because sometimes when I'm going to give an indication or something about the game or how they have to do in the trainings, I need to have an effective communication to them to make them understandable and easy for them to get the information or the idea I'm giving to them. Also, to be adaptable, know my players and how they react to certain situations to help them adapt in the best way, depending on what situation we're facing. So this is, for example, we're losing a game. I need to be adaptable to know, for example, if I have a player that has better qualities, like going forward, or for example, they attack better. I need to be adaptable to know which player react. For example, when we are losing, there are players that go down, or there are players that go up when we are losing. So I need to know that and be adaptable to the situations. And also something very important that is happening right now in Barcelona, the onboarding. This is like having the club like really wear the t-shirt that we are wearing the. And this is happening because many players only go to Barcelona for the money and for fame. So we need to have them onboarding, make them stay stronger and know the values and the importance of being in the club to have a better chemistry between the players. This way, if all of them really like the teachers and they feel it really, they are going to improve their performance. And this is really, really important that I don't think they are doing right now. And it's going to be really important to achieve the goals that we are presenting. And the results will be, of course, being the same club that we have been in Barcelona for many years, like being the top of the top in the soccer, winning championships. And here you can see, for example, a flag from Brazil. They have like many players from these different countries, and with this, they can they can be the Barcelona that they have been for many years.
Very good. Could you guys help me give Dante, please, some hands, because I think this was so interesting and we have so many questions now. Thank you, Livia, for the clapping, and everybody else. Come on, because I think, yes, very interesting. Now, before I start asking my questions, thank you, Diana. Thank you. Thank you. Before I start asking my questions, I am sure you are as intrigued as I am. And everybody, please, I don't know what you're doing, Lola, but I think you're distracted and you're missing really interesting, because I see you writing. I don't know what you're writing, but make sure, please, we're all paying attention, because these are very interesting presentations. So before I start asking my questions, which are, I have so many, but good questions, don't worry. I'm not going to give you a hard time, okay? I would like some of our classmates maybe to add something, to give your opinion, to give feedback, to ask questions. I first of all, I have to say, this is such a wonderful example. So wonderful real life example of the cultural dimensions. Wonderful. And of course, I know our time is very limited, but I bet you have enough information to share a whole class, because talking about an international soccer team that is so important as Barcelona, as you have mentioned, and having so different nationalities, there are so many cases going on inside, right? So questions, doubts, anything you would like to add, guys? Before I start adding things or I can ask my questions, what did you think about Dante's presentation, guys? No se peleen por participar. Come on. Yes, Paula, go.
No, I was going to ask about the individualism versus collectivism aspect. I didn't quite understand how you refer to that aspect in the sense that they were forming groups according to their nationalities, or their coach was like training them according to a individual or groupal kind of approach as a team.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, because we don't know the team, Dante. So if you can help us understand better, that'll be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And yeah, I talk about both of them because, for example, I talk about the case of Maradona, that was the best player in the world in that moment, and he arrived to Barcelona and he couldn't adapt to the methodology of game that Barcelona has to be like a very collective team. And Maradona was like he takes the ball and he do it like he makes the goal by his own. So he couldn't adapt in that way, and that's why he couldn't like go further in Barcelona. And also about this collectivism between the countrymates, I talk about my example of when I was a soccer player. And for example, in this, you can see this image actually. This one in the right, the one with the Brazil flag. They are all the Brazilian players in Barcelona. For example, they are 5 Brazilian players here that they take a picture like alone or making a group. You can see the example right here.
Wonderful, wonderful example, wonderful question. I'm going to add more things to this, but before I do, any other comment, question, complaint? No, just kidding. No complaints, Dante. It's been wonderful. Anything else you would like to add? Do you think this example relates to everything we talked about, guys, in our cultural dimensions? Yes, it does. I know. That's right. So if anyone, no one else has questions, I would like to add. I'm going to add exactly to what you're saying. First of all, congratulations, Dante. It's a wonderful example. What you just said is so important. And I would like all of you guys, for a second, to take this example to any context or scenario. You can be the best football player in the world. And when you become part of a team that is a #1 team, being part of a team requires a different mindset. And as you just said it, Dante, I believe also a football team or a soccer team is not a place for rock stars, meaning just one person, being the most important. And I think, for example, the same happened with David Beckham back in the many years ago, of course, in England. And I think he played for Real Madrid, David Beckham, I'm not sure. But many people hated him and many people liked him. And why did many people hated him? Because he also tended to be kind of individualistic at some point of his career. But eventually he had to learn to play as part of a team. Otherwise, you cannot win matches if you're not part of a team. Actually, and I'm not going to get into controversies or anything. I just want to mention this. Mr. Jenkins was telling me last Saturday that it was very difficult for any team in the World Cup, any team, to beat other teams because these players usually play with different clubs. Am I correct, Dante? All these players from the Mexican team or the German team or the Poland team or the French team or whatever team they are, they usually play with their private clubs, right? And they only get some chances to play together, like practice games, some practice matches. But what Mr. Jenkins was telling me is it's not fair because they're not a real team. A national team is not a team because how hard can it be for a coach to not able to have all these is all these people really merging and being part of a team. You know, you never have that chance because you are working and playing with your clubs. Is this correct, Dante? They all play with their clubs, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so Mr. Jenkins was telling me it's not fair because I bet, and he told me, if you put a Mexican team, football team, with most Mexican players, that team can beat even, I don't know, even Brazil, even England or whatever, because that's a team, because they work as a team and they have all these activities in which they learned to work, live, and breathe together, right? Almost to act, a team has to act as an organism, right? So I think what you just taught us, Dante, related to the cultural dimensions, it's so important because also it is very natural for us to try to get together with those who seem alike to us. Remember, we talk about this in many classes? Because we unconsciously get scared of people who are different to us. So we want to be near people who speak at least our same language, seem kind of like us, etc. Right? Excuse me. And the last thing I want to mention, I want to add something else. The cultural dimensions, as you said it, Dante, go beyond, in this case, only the people collaborating or working together. You mentioned the wives. Did you know that 70% of all the people that are sent abroad to work in an international assignment, when they fail, 70% is because of the wife or the children not adapting to the new context, not even the player. So you can have, imagine, and as you said, imagine all the things a coach has to think of. Not only the 22 players, but also you have to think of the wives, the families, how they are, getting together, how they are. It's so many things. It's amazing. It is amazing. And everything is related to cultural dimensions. I think your ideas are very good ideas, Dante. And I am sure I know this is a simulation, but if we had the situation, I'm sure you would be a wonderful coach for Barcelona. So help me again, guys. Give Dante big hands because he did a very, very, very good job. Thank you very much, Dante. And now, any other